Hey everybody, it's Barbara and welcome back to my channel. Today I have 7 Dollar Tree Easter DIYs for you and we are getting started on the first project. I am using this sign from Dollar Tree and I tried to use my hairdryer to loosen up that glue to remove the paper, but what little bit of paper I couldn't get off, I did go over that with a sanding block to sand that down nice and smooth. And I'm going to give this sign 2 coats of my Waverly white chalk paint. And I did make sure that I painted the back as well because I wanted it to have a nice finished look. So I did make sure I also got the sides. And now I'm going to take my black oil-based Sharpie and go around the entire edge of this sign. I just wanted to bring out the shape of the sign, and I think it just gave it a little bit more character and dimension and really brought out that shape. Once I have that done, I'm going to take this wood bunny that I picked up at Dollar General for $2, and I just really liked the shape of this bunny. So I am going to trace this out on my buffalo check scrapbook paper that I picked up at Hobby Lobby, and I'm just lining that up to make sure I have the design where I want it to be before I trace that out, and then I'll just cut that down with my scissors. Once I have that cut down, I am going to apply this to the center of the sign using some Mod Podge, and I just applied the Mod Podge evenly on the back side of the scrapbook paper, and then just gently put that right into the middle of the sign and smoothed it out and made sure that there were not any creases or wrinkles or air bubbles. Once I have that in place, I am going to take these wood letters. These came from, I believe, Dollar General. I'm not quite sure. I don't remember, but I think they came from Dollar General. And I'm going to spell out the words Happy Easter. And I'm going to take my Waverly Antique Wax and use a brush and paint over each of these letters on the front and the side. And then I'm just going to go over that with a cloth and remove most of the wax until I am left with this beautiful stained brown color. I'm then going to set those to the side and let those dry, and I'm going to take a cotton ball, just a plain cotton ball, and flatten that out as best I can to create a tail for the bunny. And then I can hot glue that into place right there on top of the scrapbook paper. Then I'm going to take some jute rope and I am going to put a piece of tape around the end so that I can feed that through the 2 holes to create a hanger for this sign. And once I have that fed through, I would just tie a knot on each side and then cut the excess off on the back, and you have this really cute hanger. Now, to apply the letters to the sign, I am using Mod Podge. You could certainly use hot glue to do this, but I just find that Mod Podge gives me a little bit more time to situate the letters and make sure that they are centered and lined up where I want them to be. Once I have those in place, this sign is finished, and I think this turned out so cute. I just love that stained color with the black and white. Let me know what you think of this project. If you are new to my channel and this is the first time you are visiting, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, check out my description box for my other social media accounts as well as my website. To my current subscribers, thank you so much. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. For project number 2, I am using this wood cross from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to give this 2 coats of my Waverly white chalk paint on the entire piece, front and back and sides. Once that paint has dried, I am going to take a piece of sizzle rope and I am going to I cut it down to about 10 inches. And then I'm going to glue the 2 ends together using hot glue so that I can form a circle. And you just want to hold that glue in place until it sets up. And then you will have this nice, pretty round circle. Once that glue sets up, I'm going to take my antique wax and a brush, and I'm going to go over the entire rope. And then I will also take my cloth and wipe most of that off so it leaves me with this nice stained brown color. And now it looks like a beautiful wreath. And I'm going to set that to the side and let it dry before I attach it to my cross. and I'm going to use some hot glue. And I just used the glue under each section that was attached to the cross so that I could make sure that it was lined up where I wanted it to be before I glued that down in place. Now to decorate the bottom of it, I am using some of these beautiful purple and white flowers from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to pull those off of the stems and then hot glue each one down. Once I have these in place, this project is finished, and I think it turned out so beautiful. I love how this piece turned out. I absolutely love the purple and the white, and this is just a beautiful DIY for Easter. Now we're going to get started on project number 3, and I am going to be using this sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to remove the backing from it. And then this next step is not really necessary if you have some thick scrapbook paper. I don't know why I felt like I needed to remove this paper so that you wouldn't see through it, but the scrapbook paper that I do have is pretty thick, so you're not even going to see through it, so it wasn't even necessary for me to do this. I'm going to take the frame and I'm going to give that 2 coats of my Waverly White chalk paint, and I did paint the back as well. And then I am taking this gorgeous scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. Now this was 69 cents a piece, but I loved the wording on it, and I am going to use my Cricut cutter to cut this down to the right size to cover the front part of the backing of the picture frame. Now I wanted mine to have the Jesus right in the center, so I am using my scrapbook paper cutter to make sure that I line everything up so that that will be in the center of the back of the frame. Then I'm just going to use some of this Elmer's school glue and apply that all to the top part of the frame, and then I could put my scrapbook paper right there on the center. And I did put a little bit too much glue on there, so I did wipe the excess off. Then you can just place this back into your frame, and you have this gorgeous Easter decor DIY that looks really beautiful on its own, but it also looks really beautiful with our previous DIY, and I will show you here in just a second. I think these complement each other very well, and I love how they both turned out. For project number 4, I have already cut down this foam board from Dollar Tree, and it measures 14.5 inches by 14.5 inches. And I am going to use some of these 1-gallon paint stir sticks. You can pick these up at your home improvement store, and I'm using 6 of them. And I'm going to just go ahead and cut off the end that has the handle on there. So I just took my utility knife and scored it a couple of times, and then I will break it. And then if any little pieces are left over, you can just take your scissors and cut that off straight. Now I just wanted to use these to create a frame around the foam board. So I am just taking these, lining them up, and then marking my measurements for the other ends so that everything will line up on the frame. Once I have all of these pieces cut out, I can then lay them on top of the foam board to make sure that everything lines up before I start painting anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove the sticks once I know that everything lines up, and I'm going to be using this gorgeous gray placemat from Dollar Tree. You can't really tell, it almost looks black on camera, but it's just a beautiful dark gray. And I am going to hot glue the edges around in the center of this foam board, leaving a little bit of an edge. I cut the foam board larger than the placemat so that I would have room to place those paint sticks and cover up the ends of the placemat, but also cover up the outside edges and have a backing to those paint sticks, if that makes sense. So I'm just taking the glue and going around the edge on all 4 sides. And then I'm going to set that to the side for just a minute, and I am taking this wood bunny cutout from Dollar Tree, and I am going to fill in the hole where the hanger is using some spackling or wood putty or whatever you have on hand, or caulk, just to fill that hole in, and then I'll let that dry and sand it down smooth. Then I gave each of these 2 coats of my Waverly White chalk paint and made sure that I got the outside edges as well. And then I am going to take my paint stir sticks and line them up again to make sure that I have each one in the correct place. And then I'm going to put some hot glue just on the edge that's going to touch the placemat and glue that there, because it will, the placemat sets a little bit higher than the foam board. So I just wanted to make sure that it's set flush rather than putting the glue all the way over it and then it just kind of leans and tilts, if that makes sense. Once I have all those in place, I'm going to take my spackling and fill in all those gaps between the paint sticks. And then I just took a baby wipe and wiped the excess off. Let that dry before you sand it. Then I am just going to take some hot glue and attach the bunny right to the middle of the sign and just hold that in place until that glue sets up. Then I am going to take some beautiful gray yarn from Dollar Tree that matched this placemat perfectly to create a tail for the bunny. And I'm just going to wrap it around 3 of my fingers about 6 or 7 times. Take that, twist it, and then fold it in half. And then I'm just going to continue wrapping around this until I create a nice ball of yarn. Once I have it to the size I want it, I'm just going to glue that piece down and then cut the excess off. And then I'm going to squish it just a little bit after I glue it on there. So I'll put the glue on and then just kind of push it down a little bit. And now he has this really cute tail that matches the placemat. And then I will go over those places that I put the spackling on, and I'm going to sand those down nice and smooth, wipe any of the dust off, and then go in with my Waverly White chalk paint and paint over each of those sections. And then this sign is finished. I think this sign is so cute. I love how crisp it looks with the dark gray and the white. Let me know what you think of this project. And now we're going to get started on project number 5. I am using 3 of these carrot plastic containers from Dollar Tree. They come in a package of 3. And the ends are flat so that they can set up, but I wanted to make these look like real carrots. So I took one of Dollar Tree's styrofoam carrots. They come in a package with the hangers on there. And I'm just going to cut the tip of that off so that I can attach this to the bottom of the carrot container with some hot glue, and then that will give me the carrot tip that I am looking for before I wrap these in some yarn. So I found this gorgeous orange yarn from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to wrap the carrot portion in this orange yarn, and I'm just going to start on the bottom and then take the yarn and wrap it around. And I just found that it was easier if I put a line of glue down and then put another line opposite of that on the other side, and then continue to just twirl the yarn around until I got to the top of the carrot. And then if you are missing any places or if there's a little gap, you can always go in and take some hot glue and put a little piece of yarn in there and squish it down and then make it nice and flat. For the top part of the carrot, the stem, or the root, is it a stem or a root? Anyway, I am using some green jute rope from Dollar Tree. I found this in the garden section, and I am doing the same thing, just wrapping that around with some glue. Now, to create the top part of it, like the grass part of it, I just wrapped this around my hand or 4 fingers about, 10 or 12 times. And I'm going to tie the top portion of it almost like you're making a tassel. So it will be 1/4 of the way up. And then I'm actually going to cut both ends, the loops off. And then the piece that was at the top that was about 1/4 of the size, I trimmed that down so that I can spread these out and then glue that right on top to create like this grass portion of the carrot. And then I'll go in and trim any of that excess off. And then I did that for all 3 carrots. And these turned out so cute. I did go in with my hair dryer just to remove any of the glue strands. And I'm not going to show you the finished final reveal on this one yet because it goes with our next project. So I will show you after I finish project number 6. So I found this cute wood crate bunny for $1 at the thrift store, and it was missing one of the rails on the side, so I just went ahead and pulled the other rail off. And then I'm just going to take some sandpaper and go over those spots that had the nail holes. And I ended up kind of just going over the whole piece just to make sure everything was nice and smooth. And then I'm going to go ahead after I remove the sticker and just take and wipe it off and get all the dust and just make sure it's good and clean before I give this 2 coats of my Waverly White chalk paint. So I did paint the entire piece, including the bottom, and I'm going to make sure that that has dried. And then I'm going to take some raffia that I just had on hand. This is just some extra raffia that I already had. And I am going to place that inside this cute little wood crate. And I did save 2 long pieces so that I could create a bow on each side for each of the bunnies. And I just tied a simple bow and then trimmed the little tails down. And then I can place my carrots in there. And then I also placed a couple of those little Dollar Tree plastic eggs. And this turned out so cute. I love the texture in the carrots. And I love how that orange just pops off of the white. It is so pretty. Let me know what you think of these 2 DIYs. So for our last project of this video, I am using just a scrap piece of wood that I had lying around. It's about 7 1/4 inches long and about 2.5 inches wide. And I am also using this dowel that comes in a package at Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to take and measure where I want to mark my holes so that I can drill holes to insert the dowels in. And first I just found the center, and then I went about a little more than 1.5 inches from the back side of it. And then I'm just going to drill the holes. So I'm not going all the way through. I just wanted it deep enough so that the dowel could sit down in there. Then I'm going to cut the dowel into 2 5-inch pieces and then sand those rough edges off of the end. And then I did make sure that they would fit in the hole before I moved on to painting it. So I gave these 2 coats of my Waverly White chalk paint, and I did paint the entire piece as well as both of those dowels. And then once, I'm just going to set that to the side and let it dry. I'm using the back part of a picture frame from Dollar Tree that I just had left over. Like, I used the frame, but I kept the backing. It measures 5 inches by 3.5. And I'm just going to remove that back portion of it and the sticker. And then I will paint this as well with 2 coats of my Waverly White chalk paint. Now, once everything has dried, I am going to take the back part of the picture frame. After I glue these dowels in, I'm just going to put some hot glue in those holes, set the dowels in there, and then I will take the back of the picture frame and I'm going to take my oil-based black Sharpie, and I am just going to spell out the word happy. And then I'm just going to go around and just give it sort of like a stitching effect. Now, I didn't center the word happy up, but I'll show you how I fix that in just a second. I'm going to use these Easter egg garlands, some of the eggs off of that from Dollar Tree. And I'm going to hot glue 6 of them. So I picked 2 of 3 different colors. And I'm just going to hot glue those in the front part of this wood piece. And once I have those in place, I'm going to use these stickers from Walmart. You can get these in a package. They have like silver, gold, and black. And I can't remember exactly how much it is, but it's a few dollars. And I'm going to spell out the word Easter. And then to fix that spot where I had put happy, but I didn't center it up on the sign, I just took an extra egg, cut it in half with my utility knife. And then I am going to hot glue that onto the sign to just give it, I don't know, just make it look better because it wasn't centered. Then I'm going to hot glue that onto the dowels. And then those stickers really didn't want to stay put, so I did put some Mod Podge over it to make sure they stayed in place. And then this cute little DIY is finished. I think this is super cute. You guys, if you have a favorite, I would love to know which one is your favorite. Please let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.